I'm going to let you guys in on my personal life today. I never make it home on time for dinner. The truth is, I'm always late leaving from work, or late leaving for work. And you can ask my wife about this because it drives her nuts. She hates the fact that I'm never home on time for dinner. So this year, to save my marriage, I'm buying a BMW. It turns out that BMW and Amazon have come up with a partnership. So in 2018, all BMWs will be integrated with Alexa. So now, when I'm running late, I can just ask Alexa to send a nice message to my wife, letting her know that I will be late. Better yet, what I can do is have Alexa order a dozen roses and have them sent home. So that by the time I get home, they've already been drone delivered, apologizing the fact that I'm going to be late. Now think about that for a moment. I didn't have to pull over. I didn't have to make a bunch of phone calls. I didn't have to look up something on my phone. I definitely did not have to look up the yellow pages to find out a florist. And that's funny because most of you have never even used the yellow pages. But all of this is possible because of the advent of artificial intelligence. Things are moving at such an accelerated pace. It's completely normal. I told you that story, and it's completely normal for you to think, yeah, that makes sense. While you're driving home, you're stuck on the highway, speak to your car, have a robotic machine pick up some flowers, drop them off at your house. Happy wife, happy life. That's completely normal. Things are changing at such a crazy, accelerated pace. I'll tell you another story. I was at a party a little while ago, and I was interacting with an old acquaintance. She's CFO at a mid-sized manufacturing company. And we were chatting, and we were talking about technology. I may or may not have been trying to sell her some Prophix. And our daughters, both around 9, came to us, and in the midst of that conversation, her daughter said, "Mommy, when will I be old enough to drive a car?" And without any hesitation, she just turned to her daughter and said, "Sweetie, when you're old enough, you won't need to drive a car." And that, to me, illustrates how common the thought is for us. It's completely normal for us to think now that in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, no one will ever need to drive a car anymore. So at home, this type of thinking, this type of interaction with technology has completely invaded our lives. How many here use Siri on a regular basis? Or have a Google Home? Or Amazon Echo? So more than half of the room. At home, it's completely normal to interact with your technology, right? The thought of being at home, plugging away, makes no sense. You would simply talk, you would interact, you expect these things at home. Things are changing so quickly. These are just normal thoughts for us. But what happens tomorrow when you go back to the office? Right? And what happens in the office? Right? In the office, you're actually chained to your chair. Right? This is how you work. You got your mouse in your hand, you got your keyboard, and you got your screen. Right? This is the normal way in which we work. At home, we would never accept that. But in the office, that's just the reality, right? This is just how we work. But it's time to change. It's time to stand up. It's time to be more natural. It's time to demand more. What I think is coming is a revolt. We should stand up and we should put our foot down and we say, no, we will not accept this technology in the office. If I don't accept it at home, why would I expect it at work? We should stand up and demand stellar technology. That's what I believe. That's what I think we believe. That's what Prophix is endeavoring to deliver. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Let's take this back to FP&A, right? Bunch of financial executives here. What does it actually mean for us on a day-to-day basis? Let's go through a scenario. How many times has this happened? We're in a boardroom looking at some numbers, and somebody asks, why did that happen? That number looks a little strange. Happens all the time. What do? We say, don't worry, I got this. Let's stop the meeting. I'm going to go back to my desk, and I'm going to spend the next 8 hours pulling up some information. Right? Let me get my spreadsheets together. Let me download some information from my general ledger system. Let me find out. I'll make some phone calls. I'll get to the bottom of this. 8 hours. I'm crunching. And then 8 hours later, I got the answer. I feel good. I feel accomplished. I just did something. Go back into the boardroom. I got the answer. Turns out XYZ happened. What's the next question? What can we do about it? I just spent the last 8 hours figuring out what happened. I haven't had time to think about what we can do about it. And that's the reality. That's how we live. That's how we work. That's what we expect. But what if it didn't have to be that way? What if we could take a step back? What if we could break free from this? What if we could actually work in a more natural way? What if we could free ourselves from the day-to-day minutia so that we can focus on the things that really matter, the strategic things? Let's shift the paradigm. Let's talk about another scenario. Same thing, in the boardroom. Someone asks a question. What happened here? Now this is the future, okay? The previous story was the past. The future, what happened here? Hey, Prophix. Pull up trailing 12-month sales. Trailing 12-month sales come up. Show me variance from plan to actuals. And the variance comes up. Explain Q2 variance for me. And Prophix spins, the little spinner spins. Half a second later, and what's happening in that half a second? Is that your digital assistant who's been crawling through millions of rows of data for months, looking at all the things that are going on, all the patterns, all the new data coming, reteaching itself, learning? In a half a second, it does all the 8 hours of analysis and comes back, and it tells you what happened. And in this case, Q2 sales were up. Turns out marketing was running a promotion. There's a big pricing discount. We sold a lot of units. Top line revenue's up, but margin got depressed. What do you want to do about that? Prophix project forward 12 months. The spinner comes again. Same thing. Now we're crunching all the different patterns. We've been looking at these algorithms, and we keep coming up with new algorithms, but now you've asked a specific question. You want to project forward 12 months. Now we're recalculating, reprocessing, relearning, dynamically projecting forward. But it doesn't look quite right. Let's just take that number down a little bit, put this number up a little bit. Give me the cash projection for the next 18 months. Does this make sense? Now what sounds more normal? Actually, it does feel normal. But it shouldn't be. And that's what we're talking about in terms of shifting technologies. This change is coming. And I've done this talk before. And what's happened at the end of the last time I did this talk is someone came up to me from the audience. And they said, look, this is really cool, and it sounds really interesting, but like, seriously, that's never going to happen. Right? How can it possibly happen? That seems so outrageous, right? And I know some of you are thinking, oh man, I don't really want the Prophix machine or the machine or whatever machine to actually replace all that 8 hours of work that I was doing. But the reality is it's coming. 2 or 3 years ago, 4 years ago, not even that long ago, if I had said to you that nobody will drive a car in the future, cars will drive themselves, you would have given me the same reaction. That sounds a little far-fetched. You had to drive a car in Star Trek. You did. I don't know if you ever watched Star Trek. But now, it's part of our common knowledge. Of course, yeah, of course. My 7-year-old daughter thinks that she'll never drive. She's just waiting. She's like, when are you going to buy an automated car so that I can go driving around without you? I'm not saying it's not scary. It's definitely a scary thought. I'm just saying it's coming. And the only thing that you can do is prepare yourself for how you're going to react to it. And so when I look at this and I see all the things that are coming, ultimately, it's what I believe the future will be. This way of working, this way in FP&A, in the Office of Finance, the transformation. It's not about taking what we're doing and making it a little better. It's about making transformational leaps forward. It's about radically doing things the way you work, fundamentally different. And that's the future that I believe in. And that's the future that Prophix endeavors to usher forward. Does it sound like a future that we all want to be part of?